So Zedekiah Maina, my grandfather, came to Nairobi at the tail end of the Second World War, 1943. The intention was for him to come and be recruited into the army as a Kariokor, hence the name Kariokor. It was at this camp that young men were assembled, trained, and deployed overseas, either to Burma, Abyssinia, and the rest of the war front zones. However, things changed for my grandfather. As they trained him, they realized that he had a special skill that was much needed at the camp. He was a great cook. So his plans to go overseas and explore ended right at Kariokor. Yes. He was such a great cook that he was given the opportunity to cook for the biggest commanders and the trainers. And tales are told through my dad of sessions at the mess where during the breaks they'd sit down, the soldiers, he was a soldier already, to just discuss about what happened, what's going on at the war front, who made it back, what befell their comrades, and that kind of thing. So a few years later, in 1948, the Nairobi City Council commissioned 3 housing estates. That is the Rescos Estate, the Kariokor Flats, and the Ziwani Estate, where I reside. These houses were commissioned at this time. And remember, this is around 5-6 years. My grandfather was living at the camp. He was allocated a house. These houses were meant to give a proper or a decent accommodation to the young men and women who served in the government. Some were serving as messengers, others as administrators and clerks, and others as soldiers. So as you'll have it, my grandfather was allocated a house number 353, where we still reside up to date. It was interesting. It was a big deal back then. This is a man who had left the village, agile, eager to go and explore. He had no formal education whatsoever. You can imagine that is back then. You have a new house, you bagged a job, and he had just started his family. So it was a great deal. So immediately he settled, he went back to the village, picked his wife, my grandmother, Rebecca, and my father at that time. So they came. My father was around 8 months old. So you can comfortably say, my dad ni chali wa mtaa, mimi ni manzi wa mtaa. For 70 years now, around 76 years, nothing much has changed in the way we live as a community. Kariokor, we still live within the Harambee spirit, where we pull together for a common goal. We come together when there's trouble. We come together when there is something to celebrate. It is not uncommon to find when a family is bereaved, the whole community rallies over. We usually have low-key disco matangas. They used to be louder, but these days, we still have disco matangas. We have music, we have reggae. We have people just chilling and staying vigil with the family for however long it will take. Mostly it is around a month for the Luyas and Luos, even 2 months. So we stay with the family, we condole with them, we just help them through. And even on weekends, it's very, very usual to find like half the estate or the estates is empty because all the roads have led to either Siaya or Kiambu or somewhere. That's how much we are together. Also, when there are challenges with health, with finances, we usually organize for fundraisings where we just come together to help the affected. And apart from the housing schemes, we have the Kariokor market, which was the previous center for training. At some point, Kariokor market dealt with ivory products, but this has long changed. Currently, it's famously known for products such as leather, leather belts, shoes, and bags. We also have the Chondo weaving women. We have the Maasai beaders. We also have the wood covers. It is also famous for the kienyeji chicken and eggs, as well as original honey from Kitui. Far away, far ahead, just a few, like around 300 meters ahead of Kariokor market, we have the Kariokor cemetery. This cemetery is divided into 3, namely the Hindu crematorium, and then we have the Kariokor Muslim cemetery, And lastly, we have the war graves. Part of the Kariokor Muslim cemetery is divided. There's a section demarcated specially for soldiers who are of Muslim descent. It was brought to the commission's notice or attention that land was being grabbed, not by the local, but by people from, normally in Nairobi it happens. People just come out of nowhere. You see there's idle land somewhere. You just start creating something like a mabati structure, and then you live 1 year, 2 years, and then after 3 years you're saying like, oh, my grandfather lived here. Oh, so that's what happened. We don't know where they came from, but they did come. So land was grabbed, and the Nairobi City Council, together with the the National Museum, came together. And due to this, a gazettement was done, and this area that was left was gazetted into a national monument to prevent it from being further grabbed. Almost immediately in 2023, King Charles visited Kariokor. He met a number of World War II veterans. In unison, we presented our ideas, our opinions, and thoughts as to how we can contribute to the initiative, the Non-Commemoration initiative. We've been having conversations with the War Graves team. The main aim of these conversations were just to get down to the nitty-gritty, talk about different issues, because we've had conversations on the community level, and these conversations were geared towards us finding ways in which we can not only safeguard the graves and the heritage of our long-lost loved war heroes, but also find ways in which the community can benefit from this initiative. The goal is to have a community-friendly center which honors the departed, safeguards their heritage, as well as improve the lives of the community around, which is Kariokor. When I go back to my grandfather, he worked at the camp for around, I don't know how long, but it wasn't so many years. He was so good a cook that he was trained and upgraded to chef, and he proceeded to work as a head chef at the Norfolk Hotel, after which he proceeded to the New Stanley Hotel, and then after that, he retired. My dad tells me of many weekends, endless weekends, where my grandfather would host family and friends and neighbors over good food. He'd cook a storm. He'd cook, he'd buy drinks, welcome family where they could just have a good cheer, talk about the war, talk about who made it to the war, who came back, what befell them, the way forward as he was heading towards retirement. This was just a beautiful time. My father told me they used to listen to a lot of Zilizopendia, Punda, Funikonde, and all that. I believe that I've taken after I've taken after him. I do love to cook. On the side, I have a small hustle where I cook and I sell my food online. I love cooking for family. I love just hosting, exactly how my grandfather used to do it. We also have a number of cousins. Like my brother used to work in the hotel as a hotel manager. I have 2 cousins who are chefs. So I really believe it is something that he imparted on us. My question to you is at this point, what is your story? This is my story. Something that I just found out. I believe there are so many more people who are like me. This is the version of my family, what my family contributed to the war, and also what Kariokor as a community, as a society, contributed. Kariokor has a rich history that has helped shape, what we are today as a country. I can give a good example. You'll find it interesting to know that a good example is the story of house number 38, whose tenant was none other than the iconic trade unionist Tom Mboya. He resided in this house for around 8 to 10 years with his family. And during this period, it is a fact that he housed quite a number of great Pan-African leaders. Examples are the late Sam Nujoma, the first president of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, first president of Tanzania, that is Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. We had Milton Obote and so many others. Also from Kariokor, we have Isaac Lugonzo, who was, I think, either the first, the second, or the third mayor right after the British government left. I wish to just call on us and encourage all of us to encourage the telling of this story throughout the generations. Because like me, I'm a mother of a 13-year-old. And I believe if I found it out myself now, and I don't tell her about her great grandfather, the story ends. So apart from the record keeping and documentation, I would urge and encourage for people to tell the story, to ask questions. Maybe it's possible that you have a relative, a close one, or just a far relative who served in the war and you don't know. Maybe we need to start conversation, ask questions, find out what happened, what befell them. Did they come back? Did they come back? Did they die at sea? And the story.